shipping? Who's going to control Dubai? Who's going to control, the space program? Who's going to control the corporations and the banks?
And it's a constant centralization also of power, of administration, of how the world is being run, and that is obviously then done for that purpose as well, in order to make get it into the hands of fewer and fewer people. This is really the game, unfolding. We're watching here, so to speak. Which family is going to stand at the top of this pyramid at the end of the game? And they're looking for this kind of mafioso Godfather type, family that's going to be potentially at the peak, as it were, of the pyramid at the end of all of this game that has been unfolding, history before our eyes.
Well, the true masters will never be seen. My work always deals with that. My work is thoroughly always concentrated only on the top of the pyramid. I'm not interested in pointing fingers at lower potentates. I couldn't care less what they're doing, because I'm looking back at the trail of genocide that has lasted for centuries, not just a bunch of local, skirmishes, which, as I've said, can mostly be analyzed just merely about this whole, bounty hunter, skirmish at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm aware of the slaughters that these people have done thousands of years ago to the greatest of all mankind.
Yeah.
So, my sort of study is find out who are the true culprits, and you're not going to find them known publicly. So if you're hearing about Rockefellers and Rothschilds and Oppenheimers and Bauers and and anybody, if you're even seeing certain royal personages and so on, it's very doubtful that they are the head people. They are the machinery, but it's highly doubtful that these people, will be the main controllers. We hear about the Francis Bacons. We hear about, the Jacques de Molay. We hear about the servants of God.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't see those real hidden masters. We just see the people, the glove puppets that they're using. But that's okay. Let's continue to study, what's going on. Let's ever bear in mind that it's just not about simple power and money, and therefore never delude ourselves that simple political action is ever really going to change anything.
Right.
My message, of course, as you know, as we've done other shows on it, is that rather than politics, it's psychology that's needed.
Yeah.
It's man strengthening his own being in many levels, both mentally, physically, and morally, and all the rest of it, re-strengthening himself so that these people have no power over him, because you win when your enemy has no power over you anymore.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. It's about strengthening yourself and being able to look at all of this that is going on and in a way, not be taken down by it again and not be so depressed by it and still, we need to recognize what has been going on, of course, and how horrible that is. But that's no reason for oneself to not live one's life to the fullest, as it were, because that would be just another waste, and then they've would have won another life, if you follow my kind of train of thought there.
Yeah. Well, see, don't forget that they're dealing in one way. You can't blame them, because these deceivers realized that man was traumatized from a very recent age of catastrophe. Right? I mean, it's a blink of the eye ago.
Yes.
10,000, even if it's 13,000. Or 13,500 years ago, those traumas were very recent. Millions and millions of people were wiped out. They found their bodies. You just had David Hatcher Childress on your own show telling you that they found the tektites, the radioactive tektites, the fused glass, the radioactive bodies, right?
Yeah.
We've studied it. I've gone into this in depth in my own book on Atlantis. Along comes this new control oligarchy and realizes we're going to make use of the fact that man is a fragmented, terribly primitive, limbic creature. Religion is what takes care of that. So today in this world, you see the religions of the world, a lot of the phraseology and vocabulary of presidents and people in power is always to stimulate you on the limbic realm. The news, the media, infusing you constantly with an injection of fear, trauma, anxiety, so that then you're on your knees to these people who put themselves in authority. You're not wondering whether they're, whether they hold those posts by any sense of legal right.
Yeah.
You're traumatized. You're like a worm. So, and they have you in that particular limbic situation. Then it becomes very easy for that for us to be manipulated.
Indeed.
So, and that worm then trying to get together with a bunch of other worms in order to try and, imagine that some sort of political rallying is going to change anything. They may give you the illusion that it will change something. They do hand that out to you, I'll give you that they have a small level of successes. And believe me, most people are completely satisfied with that.
Well,
they're not going to look into any of the deeper matters.
Just look at the most, successful slogan of the recent debacle, right, from the Obama campaign. Isn't that, just one word, change? That's it, That's the main thing that's running here. So again, people, okay, yeah, let's bring in change now. Now we have had 8 years of George W. Bush here, and let's bring in something new. But is it really going to be something new? Is it really going to be changing here?
No, that's another one of these talismanic words that sounds excellent to the unconscious mind.
Yeah.
Because that's what people really do want. They want change, but they want psychological change. But these people keep saying, no, you don't want that. You want us to give you social change, political change, and people have bought into it. You once addressed to me, I thought it was excellent, about the word revolution, and that's also a talismanic word. And you pointed out that it simply means leaving a place only to return back to it again.
Exactly, yeah.
It's stasis. It's only the illusion of movement. And this is what they've got done. And more than that, are these people ever going to study who the Democratic Party is? That they were, first of all, the Democratic Club, which is connected to the Jacobin Society, you see, that goes back to the original Illuminati. Are they going to study how the Illuminati infiltrated into America and the Knights Templars? Are they going to study the occult history of America? Of course not.
No.
Or the occult history of Ireland? Are they going to find out about the Club of Rome and how it's insinuated into America through the Jesuits of Georgetown University and Opus Dei? Or are they going to look at the whole question of the Council on Foreign Relations being a royal, right? Bastion, there in America is the royals are still operating through the Council on Foreign Relations, which control almost every aspect of American politics today.
Connected to the Royal Institute of Affairs, I think,
That's right. That's Royal Institute of International Affairs, Clapham House, and connecting all back to the British royals.
Yeah.
So on paper they have one setup, and then the real story of America, the real story of the power corporations, and how every president, all the way back to Roosevelt and probably before, in my research there's no ending. It all goes all the way back even to Benjamin Franklin. I'll be dealing with this in the new DVD. I've dealt with it in other books. I've dealt with it in the Irish Origins book about how these Franklins and Jeffersons and Washingtons, you see, were all henchmen of the Illuminati. It's just a big spin that they were, for a free America. Nothing remotely was like that. But in order to get people from Europe to push the wheel of America, they needed to have these glowing documents and glowing constitutions. But it's all a farce. Never once has any of that ever been honored. And the proof is in the pudding. I have the proof in my work that these individuals were, connected to the royal dynasties. They were agents of the royal dynasties. They were connected to Grand Orient Freemasonry of France. They were connected to the Nine Sisters Lodge. They were connected to the Hellfire Club, right? They're connected to the House of Lorraine, which is a double cross. Look up House of Lorraine or Lorraine, France.
Yes.
And you'll find it's the double cross, the red cross. And Charles de Lorraine is one of the major funders of the Illuminati. He was actually the patron of Adam Weishaupt, who was a Jew turned Jesuit, turned Illuminati.
Yeah.
My work goes into the real reasons for the creation of the Illuminati, the real reasons for the creation of Protestantism. And again, another ism, you see. These are all isms, one appearing to be posing, because if you're smart, if you're intelligent in this world, and you really are this kind of level of sorcery, the one thing that you know is it's better to create and fund your own opposition than to have the true opposition.
Exactly. There you go. Very important, actually, because again, now them people, good-willing people who want to see some kind of change, they want to do something, they're instantly grabbed up by the controlled opposition, and they're putting all their energy into something that never potentially is going to happen. But if it does happen, then the same side is gonna control that side as well. So it's very clever, very smart.
Now, see, when that happens in sports, or when that happens in any other area of life, like in auctioning or whatever, there's a heavy price to pay, in which the whole thing gets folded up, and it's considered null and void.
Yeah.
We still have to understand that game of one hand playing both sides is what is operating in politics all the way across the board. So when Norman Tebbit, like last month or something, comes out to complain about what Blair is doing and how he's ruined the UK and that he's smashing all kinds of British idioms and English idioms. What a preposterous hypocrite. He was the sidekick of Margaret Thatcher, and it's the Thatcher dynasty that did more damage to what you would call British or English, even if you can say there is such a thing. And then this hypocrite waits a bit of time, comes out to only slur Blair, as if any of them are any different.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, what kind of hypocrisy, the depth of it. Here we have George Bush standing up and telling the Russians to back off Georgia and mine sovereignty when he's fresh from the feast.
Yeah, there you go, exactly.
The blood fest of violating Iraq's sovereignty.
Yep, there you go. No, you see, that's a liberation. That's not an invasion. It's semantics, and Frank Luntz would be very proud. Yes, indeed.
This is it, you see.
Yeah.
So, we're dealing with people who are absolutely psychopathic and who don't have any grasp of anything rational anymore. They serve their dark lords, and they are rewarded for it, and it's time to shine the light that these secret societies claim that they love and adore right on them, and that process needs to continue. And it needs to continue regardless of all the other little, undereducated, misinformed, duplicitous, totally partisan little creatures, you see, that the internet is infested with and that this world is infested with. They all fall by the wayside. This is a great work, a great holy crusade of its own against these individuals who have declared war against humanity and war against society.
Yes.
And war against truth, most importantly. Well, the war continues against them, It doesn't matter whether anybody else, gets it or joins it. In my work, I've never looked at that. I don't look to that. Why would, what kind of nonsense, irrational would I be looking to that the whole world is going to get in on this?
Yeah.
It's only for those few educated, aware people who understand the sacredness of it. The rest is just a chatter of voices that has absolutely no meaning,
Well, it is because, also at the end of the day, if this is a study about oneself, so to speak, more than what is going on outside in the world, then obviously the interest of that study must be there. Inherently, one does not force one to, be interested in, tennis all of a sudden or what have you. It's just the same in one level, although that this is a more, I would say, more kind of sacred study, of course. But what my point is that the initial interest must be there to begin with. You can't force that onto someone,
Yes, exactly. And I totally agree with that, because it's too many people are running around wasting their energy trying to waken up all the people. I don't know where they really get this idea. That's not your right. There is no such right.
Right, yeah.
Let the students come to you. Let the students come to you when they need it. They can come to this information. We can just guidepost, signpost them and say, here you go, check this out. I think this is,
exactly.
spark your interest.
Yeah.
And leave it to them. And always emphasize that it's also, as you said originally, about spiritual inner sovereignty. It's about psychic immunity. It's about mental anarchy, you see, at the Liverpool conference. Back in May, I made this very clear at that Liverpool conference talk about the whole concept of psychic immunity and mental anarchy is required.
Right.
Yeah, not group stuff. That's nowhere.
Exactly.
In fact, that's exactly what the enemy wants us to do. It wants us to constantly be moving in that phase of constant, diffusion, breaking up the energy and everybody's voice. A sort of a democracy, of ideas, and that's not going to work because the truth doesn't require interpretation.
That's right.
There it is, and we have an enemy that's fighting us. We need to be studying its ways. It's as simple as that.
I totally agree. Michael, we need to begin to run things up here, but I do want to squeeze in one more question for you before we mention your websites and get the titles of the books out and all of that again. And that has to do with what I mentioned at the end of the first segment. Basically, I want to ask you if you believe that there is a fight, so to speak, going on. We talked, of course, that there is a fight going on between the lower levels, the different sides here. But what I'm getting at is this idea of that we're potentially are entering into a new era now. If you look at astrology, we talked before about the difference between the age of Taurus and Aries. And if we now are potentially standing at the same kind of crossroads, that there is an old order belonging to the Piscean and a branch or a fraction of this, what they call, I guess, New World Order, are looking to move into Age of Aquarius and bring in their new laws and rules for the new age. Do you think that there is anything